You may have already heard of a phrase called theory of broken windows, but if you haven't heard it yet, I'll explain it to you in detail. The idea of this theory is as follows. In certain places, especially around neighborhoods that are not being very cared for, or in other words, places where there's a lot of disordered things, such as broken windows and graffiti, that this makes the people who live there or who pass through that region daily get the feeling that the laws do not are valid for that place, from which they have some kind of authorization to commit minor crimes, which, over time, give the feeling of a lack of general law, causing criminals to commit increasingly serious crimes. And this theory seems to be the perfect explanation for a case that was happening in the United States. United. Crimes there had increased by 80%, constituting the essence of news in the newspapers. However, in the early 1990s, the crime rate began to drop so quickly that it surprised everyone, and the police explained this drop, using the theory of broken windows as a source of inspiration. What the police did was start to exercise greater vigilance over small offenses that used to go unnoticed, such as skipping the subway roulette wheel, begging aggressively, and washing the car windows to try to force the gain of some change, things that those who live in big cities know very well how it is. And it sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? The explanation for the vertiginous drop in crime was an audacious intervention by the police. But would that be the only cause of this fall? There may be other explanations, such as an improvement in the city's economic situation, tougher and longer sentences, an increase in the number of police, tougher laws regarding carrying weapons, an aging population, or changes in the drug market. There are many possible explanations, but the strangest of them was the one that appeared in the book Freakonomics, which has a strong relationship with the legalization of abortion. In short, the idea is the following: abortion was legalized in 1973, and with that, mothers who were unable to properly raise their children had access to abortion by the health system. If such children had been born, they would have lived in poor and unstable areas, which would have made them more likely to become criminals 18 years after that. And that's what seemed to be happening. Crime rates really started to drop in the 90s, exactly 18 years after abortion was legalized. This is a completely different interpretation from the first, and it has nothing to do with what the cops did to the windows. A completely cold-blooded explanation, which compared the deaths of 5,000 people with the staggering number of 1.6 million abortions. A childhood poverty in a home with a single mother or father may without determining factors for a criminal future. But legalizing abortion in order to reduce crime reminds me of an observation attributed to G.K. Chesterton: when there aren't enough hats to go around, the problem is not cutting off a few heads. So, it's very difficult to know if the broken windows theory really worked, or if it was the issue of abortions, or if it was something else that happened that changed crime rates. And that leaves the question: is the broken windows theory really a good idea? Just because some Harvard psychologists came to this conclusion, are we supposed to believe that this is a good idea? Let's take a step back and analyze this. Could we test this theory experimentally? Yes, we can. And an experiment was carried out in 2008 to discover this. They separated two identical places, where people would leave their bicycles, and left one completely clean, without dirt on the ground, without any graffiti, and with all objects organized in the setting. In the other, they did the opposite, putting garbage on the floor and leaving graffiti on the walls. In both scenarios, they handed out flyers to people. And then they observed how many people threw the flyers on the ground and how many did they throw them in a suitable place. And the answers are these. In the first scenario, 33% of people threw the paper on the floor, while in the second, this number more, which doubled and went to 69% of people. Conclusion: People are easily influenced by the environment in which they live. If the people around them break rules, their tendency to also break rules more than doubles. That is, the environment also influences us to be better people or not. Okay, we've already talked about two subjects, on the issue of abortion and on the theory of broken windows. But, returning to our subject, to find the real causes of the decrease in violence, we should test each of the other hypotheses, and this is the point I wanted to reach. Realize how difficult it is, and sometimes even impossible, to come to a conclusion about the real cause of the decrease in crime. We literally don't know. Now turn your eyes to all. The common life. What do we really know about the causes of our successes or failures? In every detail of our lives, did we do the right thing, or did we make mistakes when trying to do the right thing? Look at this case of criminality. We have medical, psychological, economic, and social. Did we forget anything else? Life is too complex, and trying to explain it, or even small parts of it with specific studies, is somewhat dangerous. We know of almost nothing. We are diving into deep waters with almost no lighting. Be more careful with what you think you know.